Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Abimbola Fakonda. I'm a communications associate with Nigerian Women in Public Relations. I want to use this medium to welcome each and everyone to the Ahmadu Bello University edition of the Public Relations Student on Campus Summit. I can assure that you are in for an insightful experience. Our speakers, Messi Rivery and Fumilayo Tijani, are prepared to share their PR journeys with you. They are prepared to share with you what they wish they knew as an undergraduate, and then how they've transitioned from being students to public relations professionals. And we also have a distinguished and seasoned public relations professional with us. She's the CEO of Satira Media. She's she's Satira Asewodiamen. I want to assure you that she's prepared to answer all of the questions that you have mentioned while filling the survey form. So again, I say thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part of this event. And I say sit tight, get your pen, get your book because there's so much to learn. Get your smartphone as well. So we'll be tweeting live. Live using the hashtag NG Women in PR Summit. Thank you very much. So on the agenda now, I'm going to be introducing a colleague of mine. Her name is Ronke Giwa Onofuwa. She's going to be telling us briefly about Nigerian Women in Public Relations. That's the organization that is organizing this event for us. Over to you, Ronke.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bimbo Fakonda, for that introduction. I want to say welcome once again to everyone on this platform. Just like Bimbo said, you're going to have a great time. It's going to be very educative, very informative. And I can assure you that, by the time we're done here, you're definitely going to feel very much empowered as, people in PR. So just to tell you a bit about women in PR, Nigerian Women in PR was established in 2019. It is an independent social impact organization created to build a robust network. We want to bring together, people who are practicing PR and aspiring female public relations professionals of Nigerian descent. Its aim really, our aim is to support and to inspire and empower, just like how we're doing on this platform today. We're here to support, inspire, and empower professionals while also improving access to career advancing opportunities. Oftentimes people study PR who's an undergraduate needs to definitely key into, which is what Nigerian Women PR is all about. Now, also with our robust programs, which include PR in 30 seconds. I'm sure some of you have seen that on some of our social media platforms. Also have the Student Summit, which is what we're doing currently. And we have the hashtag Thrive Through PR. We're also determined to support female public relations professionals get and retain a seat at the table where far-reaching decisions are made. We find that there's so many female PR professionals, but they do not get a seat at the table. That's why this kind of platform is important, so you can get information on how to really, sit with the people who are, making policies, creating policies in public relations. Now, the initiatives of the Nigerian women in trying to support the achievement of sustainable development goals 4, and that is to ensure inclusive and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And 8, which is to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Now, we'd love you to be a member. If you're not already a member of Nigerian Women in PR, I think that you should. So you can go to our website and fill in the membership form. Our website is www. If you want to write that down, if you want to go on now, ngwomeninpr.org. ngwomeninpr.org. Everyone should be. There's so many opportunities available to you when you're a member of Nigerian Women in PR. You have mentors, you have advisors, you have information. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at NG Women in PR. Women in PR. So we're doing that now. Fill in the membership form. Follow us on all of the social media platforms. And if you're on Twitter, on social media, you can screen munching this Zoom call, put it on your Instagram story, hashtag, the campus summit. Let people know what we're doing. Invite people to join. Also, I hope that you all have linked pages. If you do, you can follow us on our LinkedIn page, Nigerian Women in PR. Just search Nigerian Women in PR. There we're constantly updating, videos that will help your, PR journey, information that will help your PR journey. There's constant content on our social media pages, and I believe everyone should be follow us on Twitter. I know currently Twitter is having issues. If you have access to it right now, please tweet live. Let's do. Good morning.
Please, if your
Thank
mic
you.
is on
So
kindly mute.
live. Yes. So please
Kindly
turn off
mute
your
your
mic. Thank you.
microphone.
So tweet live, or if you can use your Insta story, let's spread the message of what we're doing here, so that other people can also be a part of what we're doing. So don't forget, go to our website and fill the form that is session.
Fatima,
Also going to be,
please mute your
just make
microphone.
sure you keep your gaze on the chat section, where we're going to be putting in, surveys that we'd love you to also feel, so that we can take your feedback and do better. Thank you very much once again for being here. I don't care, Giwa enough for.
Thank you very much, Ronke. Thank you very much, Ronke. It was glad to have you. Thank you for that insightful presentation, or better still, talk about Nigerian Men in Public Relations. Like Ronke has mentioned, Nigerian Men in Public Relations is a social impact organization for aspiring and practicing public relations professionals. So if you are currently building a career in PR, whether at entry level, mid-level, or even senior level, or you aspire to be a PR practitioner, I want to encourage you to join our organization. There's so much to learn, opportunities to explore, and much more than I can even mention now. Yes, again, thank you very much, Ronke, for that. The next thing on our agenda is a brief address by the head of Departments, Mass Communications, Ahmadu Bello University, in person of Dr. Mohammed Shamsuddin. Yes, I hope we're excited to hear that. Okay, briefly, I'll be telling us about Dr. Mohammed Shamsuddin. Dr. Mohammed Shamsuddin started his career as an academician in 2004 at the Nuhu Bahamali Polytechnic. He worked there for 7 years. Then he joined Ahmadu Bello University in 2011 and moved from lecturer 2 to senior lecturer. In the year 2018, Dr. Mohammed Shamsuddin was elected as the head of department mass communication at the Ahmadu Bello University. A few months ago, he was also elected as the acting dean of the Faculty of Social Science, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Again, I want to welcome to take the floor the head of department of the Ahmadu Bello University Mass Comm Department, the head of Department of Mass Communication, in person of Dr. Mohammed Shamsuddin, for a big address. Thank you. Dr. Shamsuddin, sir, you can unmute your mic. We can't hear you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Please, let's know if you can hear him.
Okay, it's all right.
Yes.
Thank you for the brief introduction, and let me make some correction in the brief biodata you mentioned. I was appointed by the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University as acting dean, not elected. You understand? Then on the issue of discussion on PR, I think this is a very good initiative that you are making towards mobilizing students to understand what PR is all about and what it takes to build a career in public relations. Mass communication as a professional area of practice PR is one of the major area of specialization where students are trained on how to manage reputation and how to create image of individuals and organizations. Among some of the areas, key areas we public relations is practiced in the industry include corporate communication. That is where public relation practitioner deal with corporate communication. It also involve community relation, that is managing relationship between community and organizations. Then there is also another important aspect of PR practice, that is press relation. That is where a PR practitioner, part of his responsibility is to serve as a link between organization and media. So these are the areas in which public relation is practiced, and you find out that in the industry, the nature of practice involve either having in-house public relation practitioner or engaging a consultant. So it's a very important area of communication practice where we encourage our students to build a career, because from what we are
Dr.
experiencing
Shams.
today, a job in the formal sector is becoming very, very difficult. But public relation is one of the branch of communication that can be practiced, whether one
Zaria.
is formally employed or is not formally employed in the private sector. In other words, you can practice public relation as an individual by rendering services to individuals and organizations as the
In
need
Jamia.
warrants.
Mm.
Please unmute. Please mute your microphone. We can't hear you. Please, if you are speaking, any other person, please mute your
Still, you are not
microphone
hearing
so
me?
that we can hear him. Please.
Mm? Bari in gama wannan zan gaya ma.
Abdulaziz, please mute your microphone.
Okay, ma.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Carry on, sir.
Okay. So is a very good initiative you people are doing apart from the formal mode of learning in classroom and what we discuss in seminars and conferences. Now you are putting it together. You create awareness among students that that we are aspiring to be the practitioners in this noble profession in And as I asked you, I can see the name is Women in PR, but I'm happy you are not limiting including the men too.
If your ma Pfizer, please mute your mic.
Important. One of the challenges of PR practice in Nigeria today is that public relation responsibility is assigned to non-professionals. By non-professionals, if you go to different organizations, particularly in public sector, you find out that the responsibility or the PR work is assigned to administrative staff. People don't appreciate public relation as a professional practice. They consider it as something minor that anybody can do it. And this leads to another serious problem, which even at the level of Nigeria Institute of Public that is, the whole profession was bastardized, where people in a negative impression about what PR is as a profession. Because if you sample public opinion, you find out that when you do PR, ordinarily people, PR is not just trying to give bribe to get your way. And professionally, PR is saying the truth
those people, they didn't come
way, in such a way that you can be able to attract attention and at the same time retain attention of
again
the
what
public.
I saw like wait, I said it
That you use as public relation is about some negative meaning attached to as a result of not being recognized as real profession. So the collective effort of what Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is doing, and also our students, I think we can be able to
they
appreciate
change
that
the
very
way to
good
approach.
reputation that people have
If you change then you attend my
relation, and at the same time, responsibility of PR is assigned to only trained professionals that can be able to practice PR as it's supposed to be.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shamsuddin. Thank you for that
You're welcome.
brief address, sir. Thank you for being a part of this event, and thank you for also encouraging your students to be a part of it.
You're welcome.
Okay. So the next thing on our agenda is a brief address by one of our speakers. She is Fumilayo Tijani. And before she takes over, I would like to tell us a little about Fumilayo Tijani. Yes, Fumilayo Tijani help brands to discover their voice. She's an innovative and creative marketing and communications professional with over 4 years of experience in the industry. She has valuable experience in digital media entertainment. She has experience in digital media entertainment, corporate communications, content strategy, and monitoring practices. Her work spans various campaigns and strategy for a wide range of brands, including but not limited to First City Monumental Bank, Flex 10, Regal Dry Gin, Magrelos Restaurants, and United Capital. She currently serves as the brand and communications manager for one of Nigeria's leading edtech company, Tutorial Group. Thank you very much, Fumilayo Tijani, for sharing that with us. So over to you, Fumilayo.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to be here right now and to be able to share my experience with everyone on this meeting. My name is Fumilayo Tijani. I'm the brand and communications manager for Tuteria, one of Nigeria's leading edtech companies. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you and talking to you on what my job entails as a communications manager and the things I wish I knew when I was an undergraduate like you, and how this would have better helped me in my chosen career. So please hold on for a few seconds while I share my screen. Okay. All right, I hope everyone can see this. Okay. Okay, the fact that we are here today, we are all here today, I'm sure we all have a basic idea of what public relations entails. But I don't want us to just limit ourselves to think it's just about speaking on behalf of a company or speaking on behalf of a brand. Public relations is basically how a company, organization, or an outfit present themselves to their audience and the general public. So it encompasses everything from digital media, the social media presence, to advertising, to corporate communications. So as far as press releases, newsletters, and basically just relating with your stakeholders and your partners. So as a PR expert, these are all categories that you need to have a certain level of knowledge or experience in. So as a communications manager, I'm going to be telling you what I do on a day-to-day basis and how it impacts the vision and the delivery of my organization's services. Okay, let me just share briefly with you my career progression. So I'm actually a graduate of English language from Obafemi Awolowo University, and I graduated in 2018. So I'm still quite, let's say, fresh in the industry. And while I was a student, I was actually a member of Junior Chamber International. I'm sure there's also a JCI branch at Ahmadu Bello University. So I served in the publicity arm of the organization during that period. And that was when I actually started getting interested in what public relations could be, what it meant for an organization, and how it could help us further our campaigns. Because back then in JCI, we used to do a lot of community development campaigns. We went out on outreaches around us to the environment and the town around us. And as one of the publicity officers, my job was to raise awareness for our campaigns and to raise funding, because obviously we're all students and we couldn't get enough funding a lot of times. So I had to relate with businesses on campus. I had to relate with banks on campus and just convince them to give us the funding we needed, the assistance we needed, and sponsorship at times. So that was the beginning of basically, let me say, the infancy of my career in public relations. I started getting an idea of what it entails. During that period, I was also a staff writer at a campus news outfit, which also helped me in my content development skills, which is a very essential thing you must be proficient in if you're going to be a good PR expert. After I graduated, I got an internship at a digital marketing agency. So this was like the first entry on a professional level to PR, because this time around, it wasn't just campus organizations. I was working on actual brands. I was learning on the job. I was writing on press releases, newsletters, and anything basically that our brand needed to put out there for a particular event or campaign or anything like that. But as this stage is very crucial, because I believe that if you're going to be anyone who is about to enter into the PR industry should actually start from an internship position, because this way you get to learn from different angles. You're not just learning from, you're just learning from a PR angle. You work with other people, you work with other rules, other capabilities. That's why after my internship ended in 2018, I then moved on on a full-time role as a content developer with creative studios in Lagos, Nigeria. And during this period, this is why I always find it very essential that as a PR expert, you should actually start from an entry-level role. During this period, I actually worked closely with people beyond just content development. I work closely with art directors. If we're going to do a campaign, you have to work with them to say, okay, how do we want to present the brand? What are the brand colors? What are the brand values? How does our creative speak to those values? So I work closely with web developers. I work closely with strategists. That's why it's very important to start from an internship level as a PR expert, because they intend to just work in different capabilities and get a sense of what other rules are and how they all contribute to the brand. Because at the end of the day, we are all working to make the brand successful. We're all working to pass the brand message. And it was during my days as a content developer that I started getting an interest in strategy, in creative strategy. Because if a brand wants to sell a particular product, if they want to advertise a particular service, you as a strategist, you are the one that will sit down and come up with a plan that how do we go about selling this product? You're the one that gets to do the market research, that what do the customers respond to? What exactly do the customers need? How can we tweak our product or service to align with the customers' needs? So I was during my days in an agency that I started actually getting into creative strategy, because I was working closely with the strategists on finalizing campaigns and whatnot. And I actually started getting an interest, cultivating my interest in creative strategies. So by the time I left the role as a content developer, I went on full-time as a creative strategist at Bluebird Communications. And this was where I worked on major brands. I worked on FCMB Flexten, I worked on United Capital, I worked on Regal Dry Gin, I worked on Ethnic Heritage Resorts. So as a strategist, when the client brings in the brief, your job is to now sit down and plan everything, right from what the activities you're going to carry out, to the events you are going to key into, to the influencers you are going to use if you are making use of influencer marketing, and to the budget management. Your job is to make sure everything goes smoothly, and at the end of the day, the return of investment is what the clients want, that there's enough conversion from the campaign based on the plan that you already created. And after I left the agency life, that was last year. I currently work as the communications manager for Tutorial Corp. Like I said earlier, this is an edtech company in Nigeria. Our job is to help learners better achieve their learning goals by providing private tutors who fit their learning needs. This is more of a corporate communications role. So it's not directly an agency thing. It's more of, I'm working for a company this time around. So I'm not working on behalf of just one agency. I know some of you might be wondering that what does this have to do with PR directly? And that's why I'm going to say that PR is all about communications. It's not just, when they say public relations, don't just limit yourself. The thing is just, maybe just release 1 or 2 press releases on behalf of the company. It's basically how the company sells their vision and their mission to people. So it encompasses everything from, journalism to social media, to content development. As a PR expert, you have to have a certain level of expertise in all these fields because it feeds into your work as a PR expert. So which will take me now into sharing what I do for Tuteria, what exactly my job encompasses. Okay, so as a brand and communications manager for Tuteria, I am in charge of their market research and strategy. Basically, I keep charge of, consumer trends. I learn what the customers want. I keep track of what the customers want. What are our customers reacting to? What would they like to see from us? So you have to make sure you're always on your toes as a communications manager. You have to make sure you are monitoring what your clients are saying, what the audience is saying, what the market is saying, what your competitors are doing. How can you feed into this? You have to make sure all these are on your radar and that you're monitoring them on a daily basis. I also am in charge of the digital media supervision. Basically, everything that goes out on our digital media, everything that goes out on our newsletter, our blog, any influencer marketing we're carrying out, any EPR events we're carrying out, I'm there to ensure the brand's voice and message is uniform across all fields and that it is exactly what we want to say. So any social media newsletter, everything, when it's done by the content developers, it comes through me basically. My job is to edit and make sure that, yes, this is what we want to say as a brand. So it's not, so we don't put out something that is not fit for our clients, that is not fit for our audience, or that it doesn't correlate with what we do as a brand. To make sure everything is uniform on digital media, that's part of my job. I'm also in charge of the stakeholder relations. As an edtech company that works with several, in fact, we have over 20,000 tutors on our platform now. And these tutors, we are always introducing new products, new services that impact those tutors. My job is to make sure that information is flowing the way it should be as part of stakeholder relations. So even internally, we have several departments in our company. So I have to make sure that each department knows what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it. If we have anything that we're planning on establishing, any new products we're planning on putting out there, I have to ensure that every department is aware and they are each aware of every role they have to play to make sure it's a success. I have to make sure our tutors and our external partners are also aware of whatever we're planning, which also leads me to partnership management. So as an edtech company in Nigeria that deals with a lot of clients, we also work with several partners. We work with influencers, we work with education consultants, we work with government agencies, which, as you know, in Nigeria is not something that is easy. So, sorry, please. Please, can you all hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yes,
you
we
can.
can.
All right, sorry. Okay, so I have to make sure that everything flows from that. Working with government agencies in Nigeria is not easy at all. So you have, as a PR expert, as a comms manager, as a PR person, let me put it like that, you have to make sure that your company's relationship with that government agency or government official is smooth and it eventually helps your goal as a company. So you always have to keep in touch with them. You always have to make sure information is flowing smoothly. If you need to apply for any permit, you need to apply for any license, you should, as your job as a PR expert, you should know which agency is in charge of that and how to go about contacting them and the resources you're going to need to ensure they actually give you that license. So that's basically what I do in my capacity as a comms manager. Like I said, PR is very expert. It's very broad. There are some PR experts that actually go beyond this. There are some that, their job is more compartmentalized than this. So it just depends on the definition of your role and your company, because this is more in relation with what my company does. So it depends on the definition of your role and your company. So I'm going to be sharing with you what I wish I knew when I was still a student in Obafemi Awolowo University, and how this would have better helped my entry into the PR industry. Sorry, please. Okay, so the first thing I would say is very essential is to learn basic digital marketing and communication skills. Like I said, if you're going to be a PR expert, you have to have a certain level of expertise in all the fields. And part of your job as a PR expert is to ensure your digital marketing communications is in line with the brand's voice. A lot of things are digital now. Traditional media is not as it doesn't have the level of relevance it used to have. So most companies focus the majority of their communications on digital media. So as a PR expert, you have to have, even if you're not going to be directly, I'm not saying you're going to be directly running ads or, creating, handling their social media, no. But you're going to be in charge of the people that do that. You're going to work with the people that do that. So you have to make sure that it is actually in line with your brand's values. That the person that is handling your social media is not putting out something that is completely different from what you want to say as a company. And in order to do that effectively, you yourself need to have certain level of skills, certain level of expertise, so that you are not lost when you're discussing with these people. So you can have an idea that, okay, yes, this is what you're supposed to do. Yes, you should run an ad like that. Yes, okay, this kind of content is okay for Instagram. So you can start by, okay, like, so when I was in school, actually, I started learning basic art direction and designing on Canva. Canva is a free to use platform, and it actually helped me a lot when I got my internship, because I didn't just go there empty-handed. I could go there bold and say, yes, oh, I know some basic design skills on Canva. I could even show them some of the sample designs I had done. So as a student right now, you can visit Google Digital Skills for Africa. Their courses are completely free there. So from there, you can learn the fundamentals of digital marketing. You can learn digital marketing in an African context. You can learn social media management there. And the best part is that they give you certificates when you're done that you can add to your LinkedIn page. You can add as a badge on LinkedIn. So potential employers, when you graduate, you're not going there as, I have interest in PR, but I don't really know anything about it. You're going there as, I have interest in PR. I know basic art direction from designing on Canva. I have a certificate from Google Digital Skills for Africa that also speaks to my knowledge in digital marketing. Beyond that, you can also learn photo editing. If you're interested in art direction on a deeper basis, you can learn photo editing on Adobe Lightroom. Again, it is completely free. Even if you don't have a laptop, you can make use of your phone. I'm sure almost everyone here has a smartphone that they use for various other activities. You could actually put that smartphone to use to help build your future career. So you can make use of Adobe Lightroom on your phone, just simple photo editing skills. From there, you can get a lot of experience and skill that will end up being useful to you. You can also perfect your content writing and management skills via HubSpot, via Sprout, via Mailchimp. Mailchimp is very useful for newsletter. These are things that you show a potential employer, and they will actually really appreciate it and see you as someone that has initiative and actually puts that and taking meaningful steps towards their career. If you want to go further and learn SEO and SEM, even if you don't want to learn it deeply, you can at least have an idea that, yes, this is what SEO is about. This is what SEM is about. So you can go to neilpatel.com. There are a lot of useful tips and useful articles completely free that you as a student it's just as this as reading once a week. And from there, you're actually building your knowledge in this. I also advise you to read far and wide. I know you've probably heard this several times that you should keep reading. It helps you as a professional. But as a PR expert, it should be one of the most essential things you have in your bags. Read far and wide, and you don't just have to limit yourself. So I'm not saying just be reading motivational books or whatnot. You can actually read news outlets that write long form articles, that write relevant articles. You can read articles and blog posts from news outlets that are relevant to the industry. So you have public relations, advertising, marketing and communications outfits that release blog posts every day. that have social media posts giving you tips on how to be a better PR expert. Some of them even put out internship opportunities, they put out job opportunities, volunteer opportunities that you can also key into as a student. So sites like Adweek, Brand Communicator. Brand Communicator is actually a Nigeria-based and African-focused PR publication. A lot of their posts are actually free on their site. You can go there and just be reading once a week. You can read from WIMCA, that's the Women in Marketing and Communications Association here in Nigeria. You can actually read their posts. You can read from Creativity Week Africa. They also represent the advertising phase, advertising body of West African and other African regions, basically. You can go there and read their blog. It's completely free. They put out internship opportunities, virtual internships, job ads. Again, you have access to these resources. Make sure you're actually making use of this resource. Sorry? All right, I'm going to continue now. Also, lastly, you can also follow your fellow comms professionals on social media. Don't just use social media just to be reading gist and news and all those kind of, I'm not saying you shouldn't read your news. Yes, you can. But also take the opportunity to check the prominent PR experts in your industry. Follow them online. Lots of them post things related to their work online. Follow them on LinkedIn. Some post on Instagram. Find out which platform they make use of to share useful resources. Follow them and learn from them. Okay, I also advise you to apply for internships. It doesn't have to be just during the holiday. There are also internship opportunities you could take advantage of on campus. You could take advantage of virtual internship. With COVID-19 now, the world has gone a lot more virtual. So you as someone interested in PR, there are actually virtual internships you could search for out there. Again, I'm sure we all have access to smartphones and internet connected devices. Don't just go there to be browsing. You can go there and search virtual internship around my area, virtual internships in Nigeria. The organizations you can actually learn from, and some might pay you, some might not. So you just have to make sure you select whichever you're comfortable with, whichever you feel you can actually commit to. So just check this out. There are a lot of internships. It doesn't even have to be like an internship with a corporation or with a communicate or with a company. It could be as something you do on campus. You could, maybe there's a business on campus you've been looking at that you're aware of, but you think they could be doing more in their marketing. Why don't you sit down and just have a plan and think, okay, how can I help this business? What can they do? What kind of return on investments would they possibly get if they implement this? You could actually approach the owners of these businesses and actually speak to them. Oh, I noticed this, I noticed that. Would you be okay if I come on board and consult for you on your marketing and communications, maybe on your social media? These are things you could do, possibly do, and these are the results you can get. You could do something like that. You could just apply for, you could just approach people for consultancy jobs like that, just within your campus vicinity. A lot of people think they know how to market their business, but as someone who is interested in PR, someone who has the knowledge that most average business owners won't have, you could actually take advantage of that and show them that you have that knowledge. Show them how it would be good for them if they employ you as a consultant, and just help them. You could publicize your results on your own personal blog, on your social media page, so as to attract more business owners who will be interested. Some of the disadvantages of working at an internship is that you get to meet other like-minded professionals. You know how working in a professional setting, how working for a company in a corporate environment actually looks like. It's one thing to read about it online and just do online courses, but getting a real-time experience working for a company is actually much more effective. So it's also be a great addition to your CV, because you can imagine if two graduates go and apply for a job and one person is just saying, okay, I like PR, but I don't have any experience whatsoever. And you are saying, oh yes, I like PR. I have social certificate from this place. I have some knowledge of SEO. I have some knowledge of content writing. And I've also done a virtual internship, or I also helped social business consult on their marketing while on campus, and it increased their sales by so percent. Obviously, they will want to employ the second person who has more experience, who has taken more initiative to actually build their professional skills, because it shows that you are proactive and you're ready to learn on the job. It's also be useful if you have things like that. It's also be useful when you're applying for international fellowships, if you're applying for scholarships, work experience that showing that you've actually made an impact on a real business or a real person or a real organization will also go a long way in helping you get such opportunities. And okay, the last point I'd like to share with you is that I would also advise that you join relevant campus organizations. as a student, you are not just there to just go to class and write exam and get your certificate at the end of the day. You should also build your own personal skills, your own portfolio. That's how I refer to it as. So you should also build your portfolio as you're going through your undergraduate or graduate program. Like I said, I was a JC when I was in school. That's Junior Chamber International, and Chamber International is actually on virtually all major campuses in Nigeria and across the world, basically. So I was a member of JCI, and it was during that period we actually went out on outreaches, we went on campaigns. Even within campus, we organized a lot of conferences, a lot of webinars. So that experience actually helped me in establishing my oratory skills. It helped me in establishing my people skills, my partnership management. In fact, my management skills from JCI is still very useful in my current role as a communications manager because it helps me maintain professional relationships that will always prove beneficial to my company. So you as a student, there are several organizations you can join. You can join JCI, you can join ASEC. There's a United Nations Youth Organization. It's also found on a lot of campuses. You can join them. There are student journalist groups you can join. You can volunteer as a writer. You can volunteer as an editor. There are campus news outfits. Even if you don't want to go that far, I'm sure everybody's department or faculty, they also have organizations within them that you could also join. You could volunteer as a writer there, volunteer as someone maybe we handle their social media, volunteer to work in the public relations team and just go out and raise awareness for your organization. These are little things you can do as a student that goes beyond your education but will prove beneficial for you in the long run. Okay, so I just want to conclude now by talking just more briefly about PR. I know you probably have a sense of what public relations is all about, but I just want to say that PR is a very beautiful field, so to speak, because the best thing about PR is that every organization needs a PR expert. There's no there's no limit to where you can work as a PR or a communications expert because every brand, every organization has a message they're trying to pass across. They need people. They have maybe products or services they're trying to sell. You as a PR expert, you are the one that will determine the markets that best fits that products or services, how they should sell it. They don't help them with their budget management. So every organization, no matter how much they think they know about marketing, at the end of the day, they always need someone who is actually good in communications and social media. And when you go there with your own expertise, your own experience, they're always wowed because it's very different from what they have taught. Because you would have done your own research from a PR perspective. You understand what the customer wants, you understand what the market is saying, you understand how to best market this product. So the thing about PR is that it doesn't limit where you can work. You can work in fintech, you can work in banking industry, you can work in the manufacturing industry, even without technical expertise or knowledge. Like in my company now, we do a lot of there's a lot of website and web development and social media development. So we have people that are experts in that. So we have people that are experts in
Fumilayo, are you there?
All right. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you. Like I would advise you not just attend this. This is a very useful opportunity you found yourself. I wish I had an opportunity like this when I was an undergraduate. So don't just attend and just say, okay, you're listening to it. Actually try and implement some of these things into your activities as you're a student now. And I can bet with you that when you graduate, it's going to be very, very useful for you when you're actually transitioning into PR or the professional level. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Fumilayo. Thank you for that insightful presentation. Um, I'm sure that we had one thing or the other to learn. Thank you so much. So I'm going to share a link soon. So it's a survey to help Fumilayo prepare for to help her prepare better for future presentations. So I'll share the link soon. So I would like to introduce us to one insightful initiative that we have at Nigerian Women in Public Relations. It is called the Student Ambassadorship Program. The initiative is designed for undergraduates in Nigerian tertiary institutions. It is to help you prepare for a career in public relations. So the Student Ambassadorship Program is an initiative of Nigerian Women in Public Relations created to help undergraduates across Nigerian tertiary institutions to earn practical skills and experience in public relations while still in school. So we are, as a student ambassador of Nigerian Women in PR, for example, for Ahmadu Bello University, you'll be tasked with implementing public relations programs for your university, which will involve you educating your colleagues and other undergraduates about public relations practice and profession in Nigeria. You would also get access to mentorship opportunities. And doing that, it distinguishes you from other colleagues who, after school, doesn't know what they want or knows what they want, but they've not on any practical experience. So in simple terms, our student ambassadorship program prepares you for a career in public relations. You want practical PR skills by implementing PR programs for your university. It will also give you access to mentorship, and you will also be given other tasks that will help you build certain skills, which will prepare you for a career in PR. You want presentation skills, you will start with writing from time to time. And so by doing that, you are able to develop certain public relations skills. Even when you apply for internships eventually, you are not going there with a blank slate. You know something, you are bringing something to the table as much as you're also learning. So again, I want to encourage you to apply for our student ambassadorship program. If it is something you are interested in, please send us an email at ngwomenpr@gmail.com. ngwomeninpr@gmail.com. Ronke, please drop that in the chat box. So just send us an email on why you'll be interested in being a student ambassador at Nigerian Women in Public Relations. Yes. And so the next thing on our agenda is to introduce you to our next speaker. Her name is Mercy Riveri. She is a seasoned public relations professional. Mercy Riveri is the founder of Real PR Consulting, a PR and media consultancy firm that provides PR counsel and services for the enhancement of brand equity and corporate reputation. A wealth of experience cut across market sectors of the economy, including technology, broadcast media, oil and gas, as well as public relations and other media and communications sector. Aside being a PR and communications expert, Mercy has worked with several organizations like J. Quilly Limited, Robert Taylor Media, and Axon Energy Group, where she pioneered communications activities and developed structures for brand imaging. She has also volunteered on several initiatives and projects geared towards youth development, career counseling, and youth mentoring. She has expertise in corporate communications as well as crisis management and brand strategy. Mercy Riveri holds a bachelor's degree in communications and media study from Afe Babalola University. She is also an associate member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Please welcome with me, Mercy Riveri. Over to you, Mercy.
Hello, guys. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, and we are glad to have you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to actually give a shout out to the Nigerian Women in Public Relations. Like, I really love what they're doing. And this is one of the things I wish I knew about or I had while I was still in school. So this is actually like a really good initiative. And, I'm hoping that a lot of people would learn from this and get inspired by some of the things that we're doing. So she already did the introductions, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So yes, my name is Mercy Riveri. I am a professional communication specialist. I specialize in public relations. So my topic is literally based on, talking about my transition from student to professional. And do you want to share like Abimbola, are you there? I'm having difficulty sharing my slides, so she's supposed to share it. Okay. All right.
Then we have while we connecting.
Can you see the screen?
No, then
Can you see the screen?
what can't you?
Yes, I can see it.
Do you need me to move to the next slide?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Or you can skip 2 slides after because we already did introduction. So yeah, the 3rd slide. We should start from the 3rd. Okay, yes, that one. Life as a communication student. So I want to start by talking about, how I started and why how I knew that, this was really something that I wanted to do, because you know how you can go to uni and study a particular course, but these days you ask people like, what was your foundation? And then they tell you different things like from what they're actually doing. So the first thing on my on this slide is, knowing and understanding the different aspects of communication. So I already knew that communications was something I wanted to do right from my secondary school days, because I belonged to press clubs and some public affairs, society in school. And back then, like, it just built my interest because I loved to represent people. And then I was always a prefect in school. So it was always like, okay, I had responsibility. I had that whole vibe of having to represent people, like manage projects, like strategy, literally. So when I got into uni, and then my first year was foundation courses anyways, and you were learning about the whole, what is communications, what are the different aspects of mass communication. And then in my 3rd year, we were asked to, choose areas of specialization. So how my school grouped ours was, there was broadcasting, that's radio and TV, there was print, and then we had PR and advertising, which I always refer to as the corporate aspects of things. And me, like anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very corporate person. So that helped me a lot to now realize that, okay, I think I really want this like I want to be a part of this. And then I chose to be in PR. So even though we had group classes, like, everybody in general, there were major classes in just PR and advertising. And those things built my interest. I didn't even know at first, because we also had, group projects and things where I had to now even learn about my own abilities and things that I was really interested in. So for anybody, like any students that's listening to this, I would say, while you're still in school, you should actually focus on what you're being taught. Because when you actually come outside, like, you're done with school, you come out to the labor market, there's so much that you would realize that you were not taught in school. And it's not because maybe your institution isn't doing something good, but it's just that as a person, aside from what you're being taught, you also need to make the effort, to learn and unlearn certain things. So my life as a communication student was literally like, first of all, understanding what the field was all about, because communications on its own is broad. And then having to now delve into PR. PR is also broad. Like, you have to choose certain areas of, specializations. So yes, my life as a communication student was literally about knowing and understanding the profession, and then choosing like a particular field that I wanted to belong to. Then before I graduated, I started by doing internships. Like, I've heard 2 different people talk about internship opportunities on these sessions, and I was always like, okay, yes, that what they're saying is actually true. This is something I was going to say, because it's something that really helps me to start my career, and I would definitely recommend to anybody. So before I graduated, I already, like, my holidays, I started doing internships. Aside from the regular university Cyrus activities that we were all supposed to go on. And it made me now, see an interest in it. Like, it's not just because I want to just do the SciWest thing and have my records in school when I resume for the next semester. I now actively started doing proper internships that even before I graduated, I was already a public relations intern. And I know that that experience is one of the things that I always refer back to even today, because it helped me to literally start my career and learn about things that I knew I wanted to focus on after school. So yeah, that was a great opportunity for me, and I would advise any student that wants to build a career in communications or public relations to actually start by, doing internships, because internships help you to even know yourself, understand your strengths and your abilities. This is you working under an organization, and then you're going to be asked to partake in so many tasks, and then you will learn, like, okay, is writing my thing? Maybe writing articles, planning, it could be event management, it could be press, conferencing and all of those things. So yes, my life as a student was literally figuring out the whole thing, then having to explore internship opportunities, and then outlining my career intentions, because when you're an intern, you've already started, you're literally already in the industry now, not just the regular going to class, writing notes, having exams, and group projects and all those things. So it helps you to actually figure out what you might really want, understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, and know the areas that you need to focus on. So like after that, and then you need to set goals. The last thing on the slide says setting SMART goals, because your goals have to be, specific, measurable, achievable. They have to be realistic and time bound. So I knew what I wanted, and I knew that it was only going to take, a particular time for me to actually start. Everything you start is a process. PR itself is a process. Like, that's the first thing I always tell my clients, like when I have to work on a new project, because some people just expect that you're the publicist, especially when you're dealing with crisis management. There are certain things that come up, and they'll just expect that you're a PR person, you're the comms person, you should, figure it out. But I always say it's a process. Like, if the right strategies are not put into place, you're not going to get like the results that you want. You can skip to the next slide, Abimbola. So yes, there is that. And then my transition from student to professional, the first thing that I had to do was to adjust my focus, because it's like, okay, school is over now. By the way, after my internship, I got a job in the exact same company, the last company that I did my internship in before I graduated. So my story started from there, because I was just done with school. I literally even started working before it was time to go for my convocation. That's my graduation. So by the time that was over, it was about 2 months after, and then my NYSC posting came, because that usually comes for Nigerian schools, like that usually comes after you graduate. And then my NYSC posting came, and it was in a different state. I felt like my life had started, like I knew what I wanted, because it's like, what can you do again? You're done with school. You already have a place that you're working. Your internship is over, and they've given you a job. So it's like, I already know I figured everything out anyways. And then my posting came, and it was a different, state. I was sad. So my internship was in Lagos. I was based there at the time. And then when my NYC posting came, it was Abuja. So it was like, I even told my mom, like, I don't want to go. I'm going to redeploy. I have to do everything possible to make sure that I redeploy, and I must remain here. Because it's like, how do I even start? Like, do I even really know people in Abuja? Like, where do I? All those things were like things that were in my head at the time. But my mom kept telling me how, God, everything happens for a reason, and maybe God wants you to be there, blah, blah. So my office at the time, my founder had said, oh, whenever you can, it's a 1-year thing. You can go, and when you come back, you still have your job. So that gave me some kind of hope that, okay, let me actually see what the city has for me. Like, it's just 1 year anyways. I'll just do, whatever, and that would be it. So I came to Abuja, and I did the whole NYSC camping thing. And after that, it was now time to work. I know that NYSC usually gives you a place to work after your camping period. So where they attached me to was an IT firm, like literally all this website building, app developments. Like, it was nothing like what I wanted. And I already had that drive in me. I already had that, I want to do this PR thing. Like, I already started gaining my experience and expertise in the field. So that was like a challenge for me, because it's like, how can I go from that to this? Because it was like, there was nothing to do. I was a copper, and there was really nothing much to be done. Everything there was IT related. It had nothing to do with what I already started my flow on and what I wanted to continue with. So I had to now change my work environment on my NYSC portal, and I just put a friend zone, like a friend's company that they will be giving me my clients letter every month. So what I did, I started doing research and looking for public relations companies and, firms in Abuja, because I wanted to continue. It was like, even if I had it in mind that after service, I would go back to my job in Lagos, I just still wanted to grow myself here, like, continue with the internship thing, like just find a company to attach to, because I was literally free. Like my friend was going to be doing my NYSC clearance for me anyway. So I didn't have to worry about, oh, okay, what work do I have to go to? I had all the time to now continue with my, PR journey. And then I found one and I reached out to them, got my interview, I started working. But when I got there, it was like, I didn't even stay there for more than a month or two, because I realized that they were not just PR, they were like promoters. So it's like social media promoters. And I remember that time, it was not even a challenge, because I felt like back in Lagos, the things that I knew about PR, it was from press conferencing to strategy to crisis management to corporate communications and whatnot. So I felt like I can't allow this next 1 year, like in my life, to go to waste, because there was so much I felt like I could be doing. So I quit. I literally quit. And that's one thing. Public relations has so many misconceptions. Like people don't necessarily understand what the whole profession is about. There are times that you have to constantly start from the grassroots level, like in educating. When I have clients and they come to me like, oh, I want PR for this, I want this. Sometimes I have to tell them that PR is not even what you need right now. So people need to like be constantly educated about what the profession really is about and the different aspects to it. So that was like a problem I had at the time, because they were not doing PR, if you ask me. Maybe what they were doing was a part of it, but it was mostly just online promotions. And I felt like, no, I can't go from organizing press conferences, writing articles, doing crisis management and strategy planning to just this. And then someone had called me and told me like, you can actually start your own thing. And I was like, how? Because to me, it's like, I'm in a different state. I don't know where I would start from. Like, what do you even mean by start your own thing? Because people kept telling me, this thing, like you're actually, whenever I speak to you, like I get the vision, like I totally now understand things I didn't know before. So how about starting your own firm, that kind of thing? And I thought about it. It was strange at first though, but I decided to try, and it's been good, because right now I'm still building my own personal, professional career and running my own PR firm. So one of the goals I had was to, first of all, start by even educating people on what the whole profession is about. Because me having my own PR firm and getting my own clients is like, I have to constantly do things the way they are, teach people like what they really entail. Some people will come to you and like, oh, I want to do this in PR, like anything PR. And I'm like, no, that's not even what it is. Like I have to start from the scratch and now educate people. So it made it so easy for me. I felt like I was continuing what I had started before while I was a student. And it made it easy for me, because now it was like, it was up to me. Now I had the full, the full platform to now really explore and accept my abilities. So I started doing more research, reading. Like reading is like, as someone said, that the reading part is something that people just think you read. You don't just read, like you constantly need to grow. So as a PR and communications person, you need to continue reading. You need to continue doing research. You need to meet people in your industry. You need to meet similar. As a PR person, first of all, there's already that thing that there's teamwork, because whatever client or project you're to work on, you need to work with people. If it's an influencer activation, you need to reach out to influencers. If it's a press conference, you need to talk to media people. So like, regardless of whatever it is that you might be focusing on, you still need to work with people. So like, that's a major part. Like anybody that wants to do anything public relations and communications needs to have a certain level of skill in people management. So yes, there was that. I started my own firm while I was working, because after NYSC, I had to get a job. Like the vision was there, and it was something that I wanted to build like at my own pace. So there are times when I've taken breaks, there are times when I've had to even stop because I was overwhelmed. But when you have a passion for something, no obstacle or challenge would stop you from doing it, no matter how long it takes. So I tell people that you don't even always have to start. This is me sharing my own story of how I started and transitioned from student to professional. Not everybody needs to have a PR company, not everybody needs to start their own thing. But even as an employee or maybe a consultant, like a freelance person, there are certain things that you need to know and do. You need to, first of all, work on yourself, work on your specialty, work on your expertise. Like, you need to join, professional bodies. You need to have like connections with people in the same field as you, because I follow a lot of PR people as well. And even my boss from like my first PR boss, she's still like one of like, my closest mentors at the moment, because anytime I do something, there are times I reach out to her, like she's even like always ready to help because we had a really good relationship. So I would say for some people, mentorship helps. They just like to have like just top people in the industry that they can always go to ask for advice or whatnot. So as a student, you can actually start now by looking for people that are in the same industry as you. Not everybody even wants to do PR when they graduate from school. Communications is very broad, and that's something that I had to learn. Because when you say I'm a comm specialist, what aspect of communications do you do? So me, I'm a very corporate person. I love corporate communications. When I did my first 9 to 5 job after my service, I literally started communications department, because the role I was being interviewed for was, I think it was like a social media and content, specialist person. And I got there, and there were so many things. I asked a lot of questions. Everywhere I go, I always ask questions. So like even during my interview, like I was always asking questions to the HR person. And the next thing, like she now called me for another interview and is like, okay, from your questions, we saw that you might have some ideas and whatnot. And she even sent me now, they were now employing me for a different position, which was now a communications analyst. So literally I started everything from newsletters to internal and external communications, and then project management. I had to do all the communications for the project. So this was like me now bringing value. So the thing is, if you don't understand what you're really doing, like, if you don't know what you really want to do or understand the career or field that you're really in, you might not be able to pour something out of yourself. Because this was literally me, like it's nothing, like it's something that I have been trained to do. It's something that I have constantly built myself to experience. So everywhere I go, I literally do PR. Like every time I speak, like when I'm out there, always people that will be like, okay, like I didn't know this, but now I do. So for me, I felt like I wasn't just learning to know more and grow, but I was also now creating value. Because imagine a company that was trying to employ you for a minor position, and then they meet you, and then you have all of these things to offer, like all of these things to show them. And then they look at you like, okay, this person is going to be a great addition to the team. So that was literally like my experience with my first 9 to 5 job after. Meanwhile, I was still like trying to run my own PR firm on the side. And there's so many opportunities in public relations. There are actually so many. Because some people think that as a PR person, you need to maybe be a part of event management, because that was one misconception that I had to correct. Like whenever you say, oh, I'm into PR or I'm a publicist or whatnot, there are some people, the first thing that comes to their mind is, oh, what event have you done? And that's something that really used to piss me off, because I'm always like, no, PR is not events. Events and activations are things that we use to push agendas, and depending on what the client's goal might be. But some people are just certain that when you talk about public relations, like I'm a PR person, means that you're an event manager. And that's not even what it is. You need to explain to people that PR comes in different forms, So all of those things are things that I had to consciously do. Like it was not the easiest thing to do, trust me. But like I said, PR is a process. You need to take people from the foundation stage. A PR person needs to be very patient as well, because people can get very overbearing, and there are certain skills that you need to have as a communications professional. It's not about knowing how to write articles and stuff like that. You need to have people skills. You need to have writing skills. You need to be customer service is even our major thing, because how are you able to communicate with people when you don't know how to relate with them? So like these are things that in my process of transitioning, like I had to learn along the way. And obviously I am still learning because I mean, people might think that I know it all now, but I feel like I am still in my foundation stage. Like I am still learning and unlearning a lot of things. And then the journey with my PR firm is literally like me taking a leap of faith. Like there's so many things I wish I knew while I was still a student. Maybe I don't even think I was that serious while I was a student. I felt like my life literally started while I graduated after my internship. That's when I really started to see some things. And they won't teach you everything in school. Any student here now that's watching should know this. Like school does the foundation part, they teach you the basics, show you the different aspects, but you as a person needs to constantly explore, research, and put yourself out there to learn some of the things that the outside world has to offer. Because school will not show you and teach you everything. There's so many things I had to figure out on my own. I am still figuring them out. But yeah, I just always love to share what I know, share what I have. I have my own future aspirations as well. And with my firm, I hope to not just correct certain misconceptions about public relations, but also show people like how it's really done, like let people understand what the field is really about, because public relations has so many different misconceptions, and it's something that has been like a challenge, even being a PR expert. So there is that. And then my advice for anybody literally that wants to go into PR, I would say research, like do a lot of research, read, find out to be sure that you really want to do this. Explore internship opportunities because they would help you. The company that I started interning with, there were so many aspects to it. And it taught me that, okay, no, I prefer this angle because communications is broad. PR itself is broad. Some people want to focus on fashion PR. Some people want to focus on music and talent management. Some people want to do, just advertising. And some people just want to be like in offices and just do freelance planning and strategy. So I would say reading and researching a lot would help you to understand the different aspects. And then exploring internship opportunities would allow you to have like a first-hand experience where you will now know that, okay, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that, I've been a part of this, that, and then it helps you to now decide that, okay, I think I prefer this angle, or my strength lies more here. So that's like internship is important. Like as a student, if you're on holiday, it could be online. There are people that you might see, there are people that you might just touch and be like, okay, I want to be a part. I have people that even when I had not even gotten up to here, there are people that reach out to me, like students, and be like, oh, please, like, can I intern at your company? And I know at the beginning it used to be funny because I'm always like, I just started. My company is literally almost 3 years. And this is something that I do alongside other things. So it's like, as I'm having 9 to 5s, I'm managing it, I'm also growing my experience, and it's teaching me things that I am applying to my own firm because I never left communications. So aside having a PR, like all my 9 to 5 have always been communications, marketing, public relations related. So it's like I'm still within, but I just have this side thing that whenever I do projects, it's under my company name. So yes, I would say apart from research, do internships, like have first-hand opportunities and experiences that allow you to actually know the fields and where your areas, like where your interest really lies on. I would say learn from your mistakes because whether you like it or not, you're going to make mistakes. Nothing is perfect from the start. You might be making a mistake now being a student. There are people that I've met and they will tell me, I didn't even want to study mass comm to start with, but inside, in between starting something, they now realize that, okay, I actually like this. Because it was the same thing for me. I was just going to like come to Abuja, do my internship, and let me just go back to Lagos. Sorry, do my NYSC and go back to Lagos because it's like I already had a job. I already knew what I wanted to do. But it's like I wasn't expanding my mind at the time. But coming here, it now made me realize that there's actually so much that I could do aside just being an intern and getting like an entry job in a PR firm. And so far, I would say it's been challenging, but very good because I've learned and I've grown a lot. So yes, some opportunities don't come the way you expect them to, because who knew, like if I was in uni and somebody was telling me that, oh, Messi, in like your first year after school, you're going to have your own PR company, I'll probably be laughing like, nah, like you're actually like joking, because I never thought about these things back then. And I really wish that I had platforms and people and, other professionals that I could have looked up to and things that I would have seen that would have even helped to build my interest. But like they say, everything happens for a reason. So now, like when I see people that are in the same space that I was like a couple years back, I always, try to encourage them. Like, if this is really something you want to do, you should start now. Like, the hardest thing is literally starting anything. And the moment you do, you would figure it out. Like, no man is an island. Nobody knows it all. Like, even the top people that you see out there, they are constantly growing and learning. Having mentors also work. Like, you have people to look up to. There are things you're struggling with. You can go to your, fellow professionals and fellow industry experts to help you, like, work with you, teach you what they don't know, and you too, they probably be gaining knowledge from you as well. So those are key things to do. Don't be scared to grab opportunities when they come. I had to do a lot of free stuff because I needed to put myself out there. It's not easy when you just come out like you're doing your own thing and you want to get clients or whatnot. You need to actually like involve yourself in a lot of stuff. I call them pro bono because it's like, okay, I know what I'm gaining from this. It's not always about the money. It's like I have to grow myself. I have to add to my portfolio. You have to build your portfolio, because if you're coming out there and you're telling people that, oh, I'm into this, people are going to want to know what you've done or what you've been involved in. Working in my first PR company exposed me to top brands in Nigeria, like things that when you go outside now and I say, oh, I was the one that worked on this brief, or I handled the activation for this client, or I did this, they look at you like, okay, this person might be experienced, because they would expect that brands like that you mentioned, they wouldn't reach out to somebody that doesn't know anything. So I would say building your portfolio is a very important thing to do. And you can start it from anywhere. It can be while you're still a student. It can be when you just finish, and even like through your career life. So yes, it's very important. You need to do, I'm not saying you should always do free stuff or whenever opportunity comes and you just tell people, no, don't pay me. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying that the opportunities that would come, you should grab them because you're looking at the bigger picture. Like, you know what you stand to gain. And adding it to your portfolio is always going to be a plus, because everybody, like when Tijani was speaking, the person that spoke before me, like I was listening to her and she was mentioning the different brands that she had worked with. So if she didn't have the opportunity to explore that, she wouldn't have to be listing it out today. So like your portfolio can come in any way. I'm just saying, like, whatever opportunities you have, you should explore them. You should actually use them to your benefit, and then master the act of storytelling, because public relations is literally about storytelling. The main thing, like my simplest definition about PR, is understanding what a client needs and then finding the people that needs to hear about them. Advertising is what you do when you put, like, you intentionally put content out there because you want people or a certain target audience to see them. PR helps you to shape your content. PR helps you to tell your story. PR literally like takes what you already have and helps you to, refurbish it out there, puts your best foot forward, literally. So you have to understand that act. And how do you do that? You need to read, you need to like have more experiences, you need to involve yourself in a lot more projects and things that would open your mind and expose you to certain things. And then yes, PR is a process. You need to trust the process, because some people just come out like, oh yes, I'm a PR person, I want to do this, this client is reaching out to me, I already have it figured out. But if you don't carefully look through your strategies, you might actually flop. So we have to carefully pay attention to details. We have to carefully know, like, is this strategy the right for this brand? If somebody's coming to you and telling you that, okay, they want to have an event or they want to do something, like you have to think about who are your target audience. Like, first of all, who you're trying to reach out to. When you figure that out, the next thing has to be, okay, what are the platforms that I need to, how do I reach out to this target? Because if you don't have a target audience, like, how do you really know that the people that you want to reach are actually seeing what you're putting out there? So that's the thing, like PR is a very long process. Sometimes it's short, depending on what strategies you're putting in place. But I would say do not put so much pressure on yourself as a communication specialist, because there's only so much you can do. You have to constantly keep trying what you can, knowing what you can, applying your knowledge. And also research is very important. There are random things that come up now, and I quickly just go online and just start reading, like researching, because it's like, okay, let me have a second angle on this. So yes, reading is a very it's a major skill for a communications professional. Writing also is, because you get to do press releases, you get to do PR briefs. When a client comes to you, like they want to what's it called, employ your services for something, you need to first of all have a brief put together, like showing them what you stand to offer. And then after that, there are things that might come up after. You might have to write press releases. You might have to create proper content. Like people come to you like, I want you to be in charge of my, public image. I want you to be in charge of, everything that has to do with my company. You have to, if you don't do research, you don't know how to write. How do you want to put content together for these people? So there are basic skills that a professional should have in communications, writing, speaking, like customer service, like strategy and planning, like so many other things. So yeah, I would say that's basically all I have to say. And then the last thing I would say is people often ask, what are the opportunities in public relations? Because me, I love corporate communications a lot. And then people always be like, oh, okay, so as a PR person, do I have to work in an office? What exactly do you do in the office? So I would say when you do research, when you understand your strengths and you know where you really lie, it would help you decide what you want to do. For some people, PR is being an influencer. Like you just want to be, social media influencers, the whole ambassadorship thing, because it's like through you, people are knowing about certain things and wanting to either patronize them, whether it's a product or service. So there is that. You could be a content writer, you could just be a journalist. Like, okay, I know how to write, I know how to find information. While I was in school, I thought so many things, from photojournalism to advertising to mass media planning, like so many things. So you could actually, like, having internship opportunities would help you to even know the area that you feel like it resonates with your personality. Like, because it's effortless for me right now, honestly. Like sometimes I just go out like randomly, be a social gathering, I'm with friends, and there's just always something. And the next thing somebody will tell me, you have started again with your PR. So it's like, it's just a part of me because I have a passion for it. Like it's effortless. And I don't know it all. I actually don't. But if I don't keep, exploring, reading, and working on myself and my abilities, it will not help me to go further. And another thing is that it's important to actually join, professional bodies in the field, because it exposes you to new professionals. It actually does. And then being a part of a professional body also exposes you to opportunities, because you get to meet people, like, you might want to do something and you need support from your community. So having all of these things are very important as well. It goes beyond just knowing the thing, like having your niche and also exploring opportunities. You need to actually have like a good relationship with your other professionals, because you will need it. I had a lecturer back then in school that used to tell us, make your friends before you need them. And coming out of school and having to experience all of the things that I have now, like it now makes a lot of sense. There are things that you would remember from back then in school, like, oh, actually, I did this before. And I remember when I was taught this. That's why I said, as a student, you need to pay attention to what you're being taught right now. Not everything will come out when you're out, but there are certain things that you will remember, you would always remember. So yeah, like that's usually how it's been for me. And I'm still a work in progress. I'm still growing. I'm still trying to apply what I know to my project and my new clients. I'm still trying to make an impact. I'm still trying to educate people and do things that would let people even fall in love with the profession and even know that, this is something that has different aspects to it. It's not just the regular, misconception that is already out there. So yes, I am really grateful that I got this opportunity to be a part of this, to talk to other people. And I hope that anyone listening has learned a thing or two. And yeah, that's basically it for me. If you have any questions, you can ask. But in my slide, I put my last slide has my email and contact details. So if you have something to ask me later, you want to have another conversation, I am very open to that. So yes, that's it. That's it for me. I'm done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mercy. That was an insightful presentation. Um, So the next thing on our agenda, because of time, is to actually have the question and answer session. And the question and answer session will be facilitated by a seasoned public relations professionals in person of Satira Osemudiame. And I'll read our professional bio now. As the founder of Satira Media and PR, a boutique strategic communications firm based in Lagos, Nigeria, Satira Osemudiame assists lifestyle brands to establish the right relationships with their stakeholders and create bespoke marketing communications blueprints that are practical, effective, and creative. Before venturing into private practice, she worked as accounts coordinator at BHQ Media.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
No, I think you should not use your earpiece. I can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
It's better now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's better.
Thank you. Okay. Before venturing into private practice, she worked as accounts coordinator at BHQ Media, where she carried out end-to-end management of public relations campaigns for public figures and events, oversaw the approval of brand collaterals, effectively planned and managed press conferences, and expertly leveraged media relationships and vendors to drive optimal visibility for clients, among other responsibilities. Some of our notable achievements include effectively engaging the power of social media to change the negative public perception of PENCOM, successfully carried out PR support for Freeman Oshonoga, the first Nigerian shortlisted to travel to space in 2015. Worked as PR lead on some significant projects such as the Africa International Film Festival, International Drinks Festival, Olamide Live in Lagos, a one-night stand with Adekunle Gold, and Alternative Sound Life, developed the service packages at BHQ Media, and is one of the contributors of the first edition of Experiencing PR, an ebook by the Nigerian Women in Public Relations. At leisure, Satira runs a personal
We
blog.
can't hear you. I don't know.
Please, can you hear me?
No. Now we can. I don't know. I think you should adjust the volume of your mic.
Okay, can any other person hear me alongside? Hello, can you hear me clearly
Hello.
now?
We can hear you now. When you start
Hear
talking,
you now.
Oh, apologies. At leisure, Satira runs a personal blog called Satirians, the diary of a conservative preacher's daughter. She enjoys writing, reading, blogging, networking, and hangouts. So I want to welcome Satira Osemodiame. Over to you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Satira.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Oh, sorry. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I've been given a series of questions that were sent by many of you. And I will tell you that Messi has answered 80% or if not 95% of the questions I was given here. Do you understand? So the first one I was given is, why is public relations important? Why is public relations important? Why do we need public relations and everything? And Messi had said almost everything I should say. But what I would add is public relations helps to build trust between you as an individual. If you can't hear me, please all indicate. Can we all hear me?
yes, we can.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, thank you.
Can hear you
So,
as well.
public relations, why is it important? One thing, public relations helps to build trust between you or an organization or a product and your target audience. So as an organization, you want to build trust with maybe your investors. How do you build this trust? Now, this is where PR comes in. Constantly updating your investors about your achievements, your milestones, what you've done, things you've done in the past quarter, and highlight them in the different platforms where these people who are you want to receive money from get it. Because an organization would have different stakeholders or target audience. Your target audience it goes beyond your customers or the people you sell to. It can be your investors. It can be the government. How do you create this trust for your brand with the government? Making sure that details about your company are well regulated. Things. So that is why, as Messi said, see, PR people. Phone number, sorry. Hello. Can we mute our mic? And that's my family was sure. So as I was saying, I said public relations is very important. You as an organization, be, and everybody talks about Pampers. Pampers has built a thought leadership in their head to the extent that every baby product that is used, it's called Pampers. Every baby diaper that is used is called Pampers now in Nigeria. I want to buy Pampers, whereas Pampers is that product. So Pampers over the years have built that trust. And how did they build this trust? By constantly telling you what they are about, what their services, why you should use them. So those are the things public relations helps you to do. Build credibility, constantly telling you why you as an individual is important, why your product is important, or why your organization, why you should use my service without the other service. And I'll come to this particular statement, especially using Coca-Cola and Pepsi. When we are talking about, because there's a question that says, what's the relationship between public relations, marketing, and advertising? Please, Nigerian women in PR, can you try to mute everybody's mic? You can do it, you as the host.
I've done that.
Yes, because it's kind of distracting when I have to hear something. So that's the first question. That's the first answer I can give you. Building PR helps to bridge the trust gap between you and your consumers. Also, it helps to increase your profit lead. Yes, as PR professionals, we do not guarantee sales that, okay, if you do PR, you will get sales. No, but it helps in a way because of the strategic mix of communication with the marketing mix. We all know the marketing mix, product, place, price, promotion, the four marketing mix. What public relations helps to do in this place to affect your product lead is public relations helps to for the first marketing mix, which is the product. What public relations does here is to highlight the unique selling point. Okay, why is letting the target audience know why this product is better than any other product around. Take for instance, Indomie noodles. Everybody calls a noodle Indomie now, but Indomie noodles has already created a unique selling point about their product. 2 minutes noodles. That is the unique selling point, that if you use us within 2 minutes, you quench your hunger. That's what PR helps you to do. Create um, a unique selling proposition for your product or for your brand. What makes your brand unique? Everybody talks about Burner Boy, but what makes Burner Boy unique? What's that distinct thing that makes him unique amongst every other artist? Are we saying there are no better artists than Burner Boy? No, but Burner Boy has been able to project his brand as different. Those are the things PR helps you to do, that now makes people want to always, no matter how naughty Burna Boy is, people listen to his songs, people download his music. That is what PR helps you to do. That is how it helps you create profits in your sales. Another thing PR does is why it's important is it changes the perception of how people view you, or the story people say about you, the things people say about you. Now, if you don't constantly tell people what you do, who you are, they believe things that are not true about your product or service. That is why PR comes in and uses different channels, either social media, either influencers, or news mentions, to constantly remind people, tell people about you. I'm saying you because individual, it's not only companies that use PR. Everybody, that's why I said Messi has mentioned almost everything I want to say. It's not only companies that actually need PR. Everybody needs PR. Even PR professionals need PR, because if myself don't constantly talk about what I do, nobody will know what I do. They will either go to another person to get PR solutions for. But if I don't make sure I constantly change my story or constantly tell people what I do, now changing the perception, maybe people who have known me before know me as, because I studied English education. So if I don't constantly talk about PR, people's wrong perception about me will be that I am a teacher because they know that I studied education. So if I hope I'm clear with all these things, that is why PR is very important. PR is like an integral part of our daily, I call us social doctors, the way we need our doctors. That is the way we need PR. The medical doctors help with your health. PR helps with your social health. It's PR that helps with how you talk, how you communicate, where you go. That is why it's called strategic communications in some instances. It helps with your way of life, how people receive you, how you take information, how you receive information. And that's why it's important as PR profession, aspiring PR professionals, to be well grounded, be an internal learner. Messi said that you have to research. There are times when I call myself sometimes a monitoring spirit on social media. Sometimes I'm not on social media because I really want to be. But as a professional, I'm listening to, I'm a social listener. I need to understand what the public think about this particular thing, what they feel about this thing. It helps me give a solution, because whether I like it or not, somebody out there needs a solution to their public image, because PR deals with your public image as the medical doctor deals with your physical body. A publicist or a PR professional deals with your public body, let me use that word. So everything about your outside is what the PR professional deals with. That is why it is a very integral part of any profession, whether you are a tech person, whether you are in the fashion world, whether you're in entertainment, whether you're in corporate industry or in agriculture, PR is very important. And the second question is, what are the important skills needed to excel in public relations? As I said, Messi has made this session easy for me. But I would say this: have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I would, but everything to what Messi has said: wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Now, be wise. How do you gain this wisdom? By knowledge. You have to know. You have to be aware of everything around you. A publicist or a PR professional should be well grounded in almost all areas. If they are talking about medicine, you should know something about medicine. If they're talking about finance, you should know something about finance. If they're talking about agriculture, you should know something about agriculture. Even if you want to specialize, because sometimes why we specialize is based on our interest. As I said, I likened a PR professional. That's the same thing. There's general practice when in medical school, when you're, I think, the first to third year, you are learning everything about medicine, and that's how it is for PR. You have to that the general practice stage is the internship stage where you learn everything about PR. It is now that process that determines, okay, see, I am happy when I plan events than when I write, or I'm happy when I have to deal with strategy. So all those things you have to know. So knowledge is very key in public relations. You have to know because knowledge helps you prefer solution. Now, knowledge helps you to understand the problems that might be faced with giving a solution. What's the problem? If you don't know an industry, you cannot know how to solve the problems that industry is facing. Do you understand? It's like you somebody coming to you to ask you to deal with an agricultural solution. How do we you get a brief? I have an agricultural company and I need people to know more about me. I need people to patronize my product. But if you as a PR professional do not know anything about the agricultural industry, what affects the agricultural industry, who are the forerunners, who are the thought leaders in that industry, you cannot prefer an effective solution to your clients or for your organization if you are working as a corporate communications manager in a company. You cannot prefer the solution. That's where the understanding comes in. And understanding helps you to make wise decisions. Do you now see where the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding comes in? Understanding the problem, understanding that industry. You've known the industry. Now you understand where the problem lies. Gives you gives you the ability to prefer solutions that are practical, that are creative. And that's where the wisdom comes in. Because you know, okay, these are the channels that would be effective for this solution. These are the influencers I need to use. These are the kind of partnerships we need to do. I hope we're clear. Aside from that, you have to be a good listener. If you don't listen, you cannot give you cannot spot the problem. So you that as I said, we are social listeners, and listening doesn't mean you have to sit and somebody has to talk. How do you listen? You're on social media, you're on Instagram. I don't even want to mention Twitter because we've been banned, so let's use Instagram and Facebook. You are on those platforms. How do you become a social listener? You're listening as a PR professional. You're not just supposed to look at the post, look at the comments. What are people saying about that particular post that has been put out? That is how you listen. Oh, people are agreeing to that comment. People are not agreeing to that comment. Okay, why are people not agreeing to that comment? I'm sorry, as a social listener for myself, because I work with entertainment or lifestyle brands a lot. And you have to understand what people need or want from your clients. You are doing PR for an artist or an actor, and you need to understand what they expect from that person. So if you don't listen, you cannot give effective solutions for your clients. Now, as I said, Messi has mentioned this, you have to research, read. You just have to research, because researching helps you to understand the broader spectrum of the brief you've been given. And now you have to be able to multitask. See, a good PR professional can multitask, whether you're a man or a woman, because there are times where, as I'm talking to you, I am thinking of the next thing I have to give a client. As you are creating a plan, you are talking to a journalist about posting. As you are doing that, you are checking social media if that post has been up. As you are also doing that, maybe if you have a company, you are talking to your accountant, you are talking to your lawyer, you are talking to one influencer, and you are doing like 4 to 5 things at the same time. That is how we work. It gets worse when maybe there's a campaign or there's a project you have to manage. So you have to be a good multitasker. And now you also have to be a good storyteller and writer. You cannot avoid it, because PR is about persuasion. How do you persuade people to get to use or understand or associate with your brand or your product? You have to tell good stories. And telling stories is not once upon a time. No, story angles. How do you communicate certain things in a way that gets people interested? You can knowing how to use the different platforms to tell your story. That is one thing. Now, does public relations drive marketing? Yes, it does. As I said earlier, although we don't deal with the sales of a product or sale of acceptance with a person, we are very integral in the marketing process. Before the marketing, or what we see as marketing, is done, there are certain things that need to be taken in place. For instance, a tech company wants to come to Nigeria and they want to sell a product. Where PR comes in is, who is this company? If people don't know you, they cannot buy from you. And that is the truth. You cannot, it's very hard. As we said earlier, public relations helps with building trust. People cannot buy from you if they do not know you. So how will they know you if you don't do certain things? You want to sell a product and you don't have a website. You want to sell a product and you don't have a company profile. Nobody knows you. Who are you? You want to sell a product and people don't even know what your product does. So how do you expect them to know you? So in a way, public relations helps with the marketing process of everything you want to do. I said it makes sales happen, but not consistently. Most often, it's strategic communication, strategic public relations combined with elements of marketing mix. And I've mentioned it earlier. What are the marketing mix? Place, product, price, and promotion. It is the price. Now we say in marketing, there's the price. Okay, the marketing team has determined, okay, this is how much we are going to be selling this product. Now, what the PR person does is, okay, if this product, let's take for instance a bag. This bag costs 1 million naira. That is the price. Where PR comes in is people understanding the people, the target audience that of that bag. Now, who are the target audience of a 1 million naira bag? Those are HNIs, people, celebrities, um, business executives, and all that. But which platform? Now, PR, where PR also comes in, is knows where the platforms that the target audience will see this 1 million naira bag. So you will not see a product of 1 million naira bag on Instablog. Do you understand what I'm talking about? It's very hard for you to see it. Rather, you see it in a top magazine or a Bella Niger if it's the least they want to do. Things like that. That is where PR comes in. Do you understand? It helps. So if you as the PR person are not involved in the marketing, you will not sell because you are not selling, you are not putting it in the right channels where that would get your product sold. So that is where PR comes in. I said the ways PR and drives marketing is by earning credibility. You have to be credible before people can buy from you. You have to educate people about why they should buy from you. That is where we talked about. You now start talking about the benefits of buying a 1 million naira bag like that. Oh, ways to style this bag. Now everybody gets interested. Influencers, imagine an influencer that you respect because it can be aspirational. Some people can decide to save just to buy that bag because this person has said the bag is good. Things like that. That is where PR comes in. Now, what are the existing challenges we have in public relations? We've already learned some. A lot of people do not understand what we do as PR professionals. They believe that I only need PR when I want media interviews. I only need PR when I want social media. Most times people mistake us for promoters. These people that distribute flyers up and down, they think we are PR professionals. And here in Nigeria, people do not have a deep understanding of what we do at all. They have there are times when I go for meetings, I'm like, I don't think you need PR. I think you need to wait before you get PR because PR is broad. There, people just mistake PR with elements of tools we use. PR, they feel PR is event. So if I create a big event, I'm a PR person. No, PR is about changing reputation management, and reputation management is very broad. It affects your style of communication, the kind channels of communication. So how do we use these channels of communication? It's different. So as PR professionals, it's very important for us to consistently educate people about what we do and make them understand that it goes beyond that. For instance, an artist comes to me and says, I want PR, and mistakes me with the functions of a manager. As a PR person, I don't get paid gigs for you. But they feel, oh, if I engage a PR person, I will blow. That is the perception I always get with upcoming artists. They feel, oh, now that I've done PR, I am going to blow like Davido. They don't understand the processes. I was telling somebody somewhere that Tiwa Savage had to go through a process before everybody now talks about her. Yes, her music is good, but she had to go through a process. Now, PR shapes your image. What's that image? Before, I don't know if you've ever noticed it. When Tiwa started the music industry or she started popping, there are times when she's having performances and she's performing with her bare feet. Now, see where PR comes in. If you notice, I don't know, you should go and check. After this, just go and check. Tiwa doesn't do that thing again because the PR person she engaged had to take her through a process. They had to hire a voice trainer for her, because there are times when Tiwa would sing and she's going off key, even in performances. They had to hire a stylist. They had to work on her presentation. Now she's now the African Barbie or the African princess. Everybody wants to relate with her, but they don't see the process that's gone through the TY you are seeing now. So it's beyond you having a good content. PR helps to modify and shape a product or a person or an organization into the goal you want. If you want to be a thought leader or you want to be the best in certain industry, what PR does is taking you through the process to getting you to achieve your goals. I don't want to waste too much time in one. So I've said their challenges. How do I become an effective PR professional? I think we have said it in the first. You have to research, read. You have to be an internal leader. You have to be a good writer, because you will tell a lot of stories. Tell a lot of stories through social media, through articles, through press releases. So you have to be a good writer. You have to network. Networking is key in PR, because, as we said, advertising is paid for. PR has to be earned. But how do you earn something if you don't build a relationship? You want to get a coverage in one newspaper and you don't know the editor. You've not built a relationship with the editor of that newspaper, and you want to put your clients or your company's content on that platform. It's not going to be possible, because if you pay for that, that is advertising. That's no longer PR. So that is why building relationship is very, very key. If you notice one thing about every publicist, we know how to make friends. An average publicist is friends with almost everybody in any industry. So you have to build relationship, because it helps you with deliverables for your organization or your clients. Now learn to manage the yes and no from your stakeholders. Now your stakeholders can be your clients, can be the media, can be external vendors or influencers. What do I mean? There are times you have given a good strategy and given something amazing, written a very mind-blowing press release and send it to the media, and they say, no, this is not good enough. Or in most cases, which every experienced PR person can relate, is that you send an interview, and when you now get the publication, is different from what you've sent. Do you now want to start abusing that media person? No. You have to manage, okay, bros, this thing where you publish for us, no right though. Why did you do it like this? You can't be emotional every time, because you will just start destroying relationships. So you have to manage your nose. There are times where clients, you've given a very mind-blowing strategy that you know would work for this client, and the client will say, no, that's not what I want. I want you to do it like this. How do you now manage it? And you are the professional, you know better, but you cannot, as customer service lingo will say, your customers are always right. You have to manage that situation. You have to be careful. And that's where it boils down to now wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Know the temperament of your clients. Know how it helps with how you manage their expectations and their responses or feedback. Same thing applies to anybody or any external person you have to work with. Now take advantage of social media. We're in the age of digital, and it is very important that you understand the digital space, because see now, who would believe that we would be having a lot of virtual conferences, virtual meetings? We didn't see that, but COVID has changed the dynamics of everything. So you have to, as a PR professional, you have to be well grounded in the digital space. Now, what's the difference between public relations and crisis management? This is a very good question. Now, public relations is about reputation management, making sure a reputation is good enough for people to associate with, is good enough to align with. Why crisis management has to do with the defense of that reputation. There are times where you've done everything right, but people will still, like for instance, Coca-Cola, everybody loves Coca-Cola, but there is somebody that will just come, oh, when I was drinking Coca-Cola, I saw cockroach inside my bottle. That is a crisis because it affects people buying your products. So how do you manage that? You have to understand where the problem is from. Okay, they said it is, they found cockroach in my bottle. That's the company now. Where did this happen? Where was it sold? That is where crisis management begins to come in. Where was it sold? Okay, how do we now convince people that it's just that bottle that has cockroaches, not all our products? Those are the steps crisis management does. So public relations and crisis management, they are very intertwined and is a subset of public relations because it's like, as we said, we are social doctors and there can be an emergency. Even if the doctor has prescribed a drug and you're managing it and everything gets better, something can happen. Crisis is not always known, like you don't know when it will happen, but you have to be ready for it. You always have to be ready for crisis management. So as a PR person, yes, you are managing the reputation, but you have to be ready because crisis management is like your emergency. It happens like an accident that happened. Yes, we are driving right, we are going the right way, but an accident